What? Magic the Gathering fans getting upset that crossovers are getting excessive? Well, who could have predicted this? Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and that's right, a couple months ago I made a video talking about how excessive Magic the Gathering was getting when it comes to their crossovers, even interviewing other tournament players to get their opinions on it as well. Spoiler alert, almost all of us agree that it was getting excessive, minus I think like one player, and now it looks like other individuals are saying the same because we got an article talking about it such. In fact, going so far as to call it the Fortnite of card games. Now that's clever and entirely accurate. So we're going to go over this article. We're going to talk about the new Marvel crossover with Magic the Gathering on top of a bunch of other crossovers that are still happening to explain why maybe, just maybe, it's not your boy here, the bigot of Wizards of the Coast who's upset, but an entire universe of Magic the Gathering players. Before we do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I am trying to get to the 2,000 subscriber mark before the end of the year, and with just over 300 to go, we very well might do it. This is the place to come to for all the nerdy news, and especially some Wizards of the Coast hate. MtG fans slam Marvel Universes Beyond collab, the Fortnite of card games. I am not going to be able to get over that. That is so brilliant. I mean, again, I've been stating for quite literally years that crossovers were getting excessive. You know, the very first one was with The Walking Dead, and I was like, whatever, it's fine, it's not a big deal. Second one was with Godzilla, and I was like, you know what? That's actually pretty cool. Not just because I'm a Godzilla fan, I would not be that biased, but because Godzilla is something that feels like it could fit into the world of Magic the Gathering. In Magic the Gathering, there are often behemoth-ass monsters that you fight or use to fight your opponents, so the characters from Godzilla honestly feel right at home in some of the planes and existences of the Magic the Gathering world. But then they got wackier and wackier. They've done Street Fighter, they've done Jurassic Park, they're doing Fallout, they've done Evil Dead just recently, or maybe the Evil Dead one is just about to come out. Either way, Final Fantasy, the list goes on, and it's getting really, like I said before, excessive. Doctor Who, it's just getting to be too much. And then they announce a crossover with Marvel. Alright, it's only as if Disney's already got its own Lorcana card game out to compete with Magic, but sure, I guess crossover with Marvel, your main competitor? That doesn't even make financial and business sense to me. The upcoming Magic the Gathering collaboration with Marvel is sure to turn heads, but longtime Magic diehards are anything but impressed. Marvel announced it would finally collaborate with Magic the Gathering for a Universes Beyond deck. With a release date of 2025, fans have a while to get hyped for this favorite Marvel Comics characters to get summoning sickness. Well, let me tell you, ain't no fans getting hyped for this. Look, I'm a Marvel Comics guy. Not an MCU guy, but a Marvel Comics guy. Spider-Man's my boy. Grew up on Spider-Man, read him my whole life. Loved reading the X-Men growing up. Was never a big Wolverine fan. I know, say what you got. Say, and trust me, I like Deadpool before Facebook turned the dude into a meme just screaming chimichangas all the time. But that doesn't mean I want these characters in my Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering is supposed to be about Magic the Gathering, the universes, the lore, everything that it created for its own internal storytelling. Now you can maybe make the argument that the Dungeons and Dragons crossover was fine because, well, they're both owned by Wizards of the Coast and they both have a very similar aesthetic. And if we weren't so entrenched in these excessive crossovers, I might agree with you, but even that is too much at this point for me, which is funny considering I'm a bit of a hypocrite since I got a Dritsto Worden deck, which is in fact a crossover character. But that's neither here nor there. Ignore my hypocrisy, do as I say, not as I do. There are no fans that are going to be excited for this. Most fans are excited, but not everyone. In fact, much of the Magic the Gathering community seems frustrated with how the crossover reflects the current state of Magic. Hold on, let's analyze this sentence real quick. Most fans are excited. Alright, I disagree, but most fans are excited. Let's say that's true. Then why, in the very next sentence, much of the Magic the Gathering community seems frustrated with the crossover? Hold on, so if most fans are excited, then how are much of the Magic the Gathering fans frustrated? What fans are you referring to here? Most fans are excited. You talking about Marvel shills? MCU fans? Are those fans excited? Because I don't know any MCU fans that are even talking about this, and I don't know any, straight up Magic the Gathering fans that are just wowed and so excited for this. Now, I do know a bunch of individuals online that Wizards has cultivated, the Wizards of the Coast, their fan base, their modern day fan base that they've cultivated, who are obsessed with things like diversity, equity, inclusion, fighting communism, or fighting fascism, even though they are full-on communists. Those types of individuals, the ones who live and die by pop culture, and that pop culture and their sexuality is their entire identity, those people might be excited, but those people also don't exist very much in the real world and are purely a demographic on Twitter. Sorry, X. So, when you say most fans are excited, I don't think that that is probably the case. I think that you're really looking at some Twitter comments that are probably bot farms or people that dare not act like this in real life, and maybe getting your information just slightly askew, but that's just my theory. Magic the Gathering fans slam the upcoming Marvel Comics crossover, and you know what, not just the Marvel Comics crossover, the Fallout crossover, the Final Fantasy crossover, the Doctor Who crossover, the Evil Dead crossover, despite the fact that Evil Dead is my favorite franchise, just flat out, period. Evil Dead's my favorite franchise, always has been. Army of Darkness is my favorite movie. You know what, it's the only trilogy of films that I probably like better than Indiana Jones and Star Wars is the Evil Dead movies, and even the fact that there's an Evil Dead crossover isn't enough for me to sit back and be like, well, I know I said that I don't like crossovers, but I'm gonna have to get this one because it's Evil Dead. No! First of all, you didn't make Ash a legendary creature. That's retarded. But even if you had, I'm not gonna spend money on this when I've spent my time on YouTube crusading against how Wizards of the Coast has been handling their business as of late. So guess what, WotC? Look at me. I'm living proof that this sort of stuff doesn't work on people who actually care about the product and want to see the product do well and go back to its roots. I don't like you, WotC, and I don't like what you're doing Magic the Gathering. Definitely don't like what you're doing Dungeons and Dragons, but that's a separate thing. And despite my love for the Evil Dead, I'm not going to give you money just because you slap some Evil Dead pictures on a card game that I absolutely adore. You're going to reap what you sow, you awful garbage corporation. The announcement video doesn't show off any cards or reveal any character who will be appearing in the crossover. It does feature nods to Marvel characters though, including Captain America and Thor. That didn't stop diehard Magic fans from taking to social media to vent about the collab, the latest in the Universes Beyond initiative. Many expressed discontent over the various crossovers, with one even referring to Magic as, you guessed it, the Fortnite of card games. And here's the deal, that would have been insulting just 3 or 4 years ago, but ever since I've been watching my friend Cult Classic Cage play Fortnite, I've come to realize that, you know what, Fortnite is infinitely better than Magic the Gathering. At least in its current state, because Fortnite players talk shit and swear and get on each other's nerves and are quite frankly very politically incorrect. Whereas you got Wizards of the Coast and Magic the Gathering who are afraid to see one little thing out of line and are going back and banning cards and editing art from years upon years ago just because it might be too sexually explicit. Oh yes, the fairy girl, the elf girl that was tied down by sentient vines, that is too sexually explicit. So yeah, when you've got absolute puritans out there running Wizards of the Coast, running Magic the Gathering, when it is a dark, high fantasy game, I'd say that Fortnite probably actually has a better reputation because at least Fortnite players know how to just sit back, kick it, and say some swear words at each other. Now, we're not going to watch the announcement video. It's super dumb. It's just literally some kid reading comic books and then watching a movie with his mom, and then it goes on to say, these memories are, and she pulls up a magic card, these memories are magic. It's a ridiculous, supposed to tug at the heartstrings style advertisement, but we're not going to watch it. We are going to read some of these X's, though, these tweets. Are they called X's? Either way, Magic has become the Fortnite of card games, and this clearly caught on because even though it says it only got 58 likes, that's what this whole article is referring to it as, and Danny, you deserve some credit, bud. I hate that this is what Magic is now. Me too, Jeff, and I've hated it for quite a while. And then we get this. Now I'm going to go through this whole meme. It is not as long as you think. But he says, each day we get closer. And you got, I attack with SpongeBob. In response, I tap Kylo Ren to use the Force Choke. Then I repulsor blast with Iron Man. I also shoots at Iron Man. I tap Whopper to give Iron Man +2/+2. I counter by going sicko mode with Travis Scott. And then you got someone here. What game are you playing? Magic the Gathering, duh. Don't you know magic when you see it? This is where we're headed, folks. You could do this now. It says each day we get closer, but you could do this now with all the crossovers they've done. With the Godzilla cards, the Street Fighter cards, the Fallout cards that are upcoming, the Final Fantasy cards that are upcoming, the Jurassic Park cards that have already just come out. Let's see, what else is coming out? Obviously, we got the Marvel stuff, the Walking Dead stuff. Yeah, all in all, Warhammer 40k, can't forget that, the Warhammer 40k. Did I say Doctor Who? If not, Doctor Who. Point is, we've got 7 or 8 crossovers already. Oh, My Little Pony, or was it? Yeah, I think they did a My Little Pony one. Pretty sure they did a Transformers one as well. So either way, we're up to, what is that, about 10 crossovers, not including, the Junji Ito art style cards. You can already effectively do this. It's not Magic the Gathering anymore. It is just some crazy pop culture card game because the MCU decided to ruin everything and make non-nerds nerds who are obsessed with the idea of pop culture and get their, $30 Marvel shirts at Hot Topic. This is not what Magic is. This is what Magic was never meant to become, but because Wizards of the Coast wanted to cultivate a fan base of idiots instead of catering to the people that have actually supported them for years upon years, this is what we're getting. This sickening meme from what would have been 10 years ago is actually it has come true. Not it's actually coming true, it has come true now. Post Malone got his own card. Now granted, it's a one-of-a-kind card made just for him. Oh yeah, of course the Lord of the Rings crossover. How could I forget that one when listing all of them? They only race swapped a bunch of characters, made a busted ring card, also made it a very boring draft in my opinion, and clearly catered it to Commander despite it being standard legal. Either way, yes, this is what Magic has become. I hope you're happy, Wizards of the Coast, and I hope any of you guys watching this who think these crossovers are a good thing have thoroughly had your mind changed, had your mind realigned, because if you still think this is a good idea, guess what? You're not a damn Magic fan. Now that I've gotten that off my chest, many cite they predicted this is the outcome for Magic, including a comic that shows a hypothetical card game pitting multiple pop culture characters against each other. Ironically, we already had this in the 90s with Marvel, DC, and Image decks for Fleer's Overpower card game. Others don't seem opposed to the crossover in practice, as one user suggested, Universes Beyond desperately needs to spin out on its own format rather than being lumped into the current Modern. This is cool, I suppose, but it's such a divergence from MTG's world. Universes Beyond needs to become its own format because it's arguably ruining Modern. Not argumentally, it is ruining Modern. It's ruining any tournament legal format that it appears in because it hasn't just been Modern. I don't think anyone was asking for this. No, they weren't, Mavroon. They absolutely were not. Announced in 2021, Universes Beyond is a collaboration brand that pairs Magic the Gathering gameplay and aesthetics with pop culture brands like Lord of the Rings and Doctor Who. Upcoming Universes Beyond sets include Fallout. Oh yeah, Assassin's Creed. I also forgot about Assassin's Creed. And Final Fantasy. The upcoming Marvel crossover marks the latest of Marvel's big swings to make it big in the CCG field. In addition to the overpowered CCG, Marvel's made a few big swings. Their latest, the digital card game Marvel Snap, has proven incredibly popular with fans and received near perfect review scores from almost every reviewer. Marvel's owned by Disney. Disney just dropped a card game. Why not do this with them? I am quite literally repulsed by what is going on in the Magic the Gathering community right now. Not really necessarily the community, but what's going on with the head honchos at Wizards of the Coast who are so fearful of their own identity as a card game that goes back to the 90s, that they are so scared of being anything but woke, politically correct, and relying on crossover after crossover. I get it. The Lord of the Rings crossover made you $1 gajillion. That's because everyone and their grandmother knows what Lord of the Rings is. It's ultimately the biggest influence on the fantasy genre as a whole. And while I thought it was a bad idea, while I thought these were already too excessive, you know what? If you were gonna do a crossover besides Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings is the one that makes sense. I still don't like it, but it's the one that makes sense. But yeah, now you're gonna involve Spider-Man swinging in to attack Galta Primal Hunger. Like, is that really where we're at? You're gonna have Iron Man come in to attack Krenko Mob Boss? This is retarded, Wizards of the Coast. It absolutely is. You gotta stop this. You are burning through fans because these individuals that get into the pop culture aspect for a few years, they're gonna grow out of it once they realize that nobody likes them, nobody cares about them, and that, they run out of money and their Hot Topic discounts aren't working for them anymore, and they got to get real jobs because they can't protest out in the middle of the street and have mommy and daddy pay for everything for them. Because that's the fan base you've cultivated. A bunch of idiot, jobless losers who think the world needs to change, the fossil fuels are the worst damn thing ever, and they spend their time in between protests playing Magic the Gathering. And I bet they don't even follow the proper rules because they're too difficult and complex and, quite frankly, oppressive. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X where you can find me at Bolt the Word. And please do subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about Magic the Gathering, though that is one of my favorite subjects to cover, and not always about Wizards of the Coast, although give me any opportunity to dunk on them and I will take it. But also anime, movies, music, you name it, it's all here in the nerdosphere. I do have an Instagram. Go ahead and follow that at wordsofparadise_Leon. And again, definitely subscribe. Trying to get to the 2,000 subscriber mark before the end of the year, and we are so close. But until next time, it's all here in the nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.